It's Monday, July 18th, 2022, and I'm about to embark on the second version or the second attempt to make my trip from Corpus Christi, Texas, over to the Florida Keys. I tried to make the trip a couple of weeks ago, but I got to Galveston and I noticed that my bilge pump was firing. About every 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe 3 or 4 minutes, it fired for about maybe 10 seconds or so, and then it would wait another 3 minutes and then fire again. And of course, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I've just pulled into Galveston at the dock and my bilge pump is firing. Is it going to fire all night and wear down the battery? I thought that I had a leak somewhere. I really didn't know. And I thought that because I had so much weight in the craft toward the rear that it was sitting too far, down at the rear. It looked like the water line was right at the lower level of the rub rail. It's supposed to be a couple of inches below that. But I had so much weight in the back that I thought maybe it's coming in through the seam where the top of the clamshell mates to the bottom of the clamshell of the hull. Anyway, I took a lot of the weight off and took off my Pelican case with all of my emergency gear, which weighs about 40, maybe 40 pounds or so. Moved my Yeti duffel bag off the craft, and then I also put a couple of fuel bladders on the front of the ski so that they could weight down the front of the ski and maybe lift the back up. I came out at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the craft was still there. It was still floating, which was good. It didn't look like it had taken on too much water. I think the bilge pump was firing every once in a while, but that did seem to help the bilge pump not having to fire so much. Got up in the morning about 7 o'clock or so, checked it again, and it was still there. I put my weight on the side of the ski, and that put the water toward the area where the bilge pump is, and it fired on and took out some water. So I hightailed it back to San Antonio. While I'm riding, the bilge pump doesn't go off, but when the thing is at the dock getting gas, the bilge pump will fire. So I came back, took a look at things. It looked like I had a siphon tube for the bilge, the automatic siphon tubes. There are two clear tubes going through the transom, through hole fitting in the transom. And those seemed kind of loose, so they had some zip ties around them, but they were able to move on the fitting. So I took the zip ties off and I put on an Otic steel clamp. I took it to the lake the other day. There wasn't any water in there, and so I think that's what was going on. So we're about to go again toward Galveston and see how things line out. Sometimes, as far as getting ready, doing trip preparations and stuff, sometimes I think that I spend more time doing the trip preparation than I will actually be spending making the trip itself. There's so many things that you have to put on the boat and places that you have to put them so that you can remember where you put them. And also what I found is that what you need for your hotel room is different than what you need on the boat. But of course you don't leave everything on the boat for certain electronics, and so you have to take that with you to the room. But of course then you have to keep the room electronics separate from the boat electronics, because if you don't, you'll start putting things in the wrong bags, and it'll make it a real pain when you start pulling things out to fixture onto your boat. You'll be pulling them out of a bag that has room electronics on it, and that'll just get frustrating. So it took me a while to figure that system out. The proposed float plan, I'm probably going to be gone maybe for about a month. It'll take me maybe 10 days to get to the Florida Keys. I've gone all the way from the coast of Texas, well, basically where the Rio Grande dumps into the Gulf of Mexico, the Mexico-Texas border. I've gone all the way up the intercoastal to Galveston, then to Morgan City, Louisiana, and then went up the Atchafalaya River to the Mississippi River, and went up to St. Louis and back. And to me that seems like that was just yesterday, but that trip was about 20 something years ago. So I'm 20 years older now. at 67 years old, I don't move quite like I did when I was 47, but I'm still interested in taking the trip because I've been scheming and planning on this thing for the last 15 years or so. Interesting side note on the trip is that I had planned on making it earlier, and so I tried to trick out my Yamaha FX Cruiser high output, but the Yamaha hull was too flat and too also too narrow to really work very well. I tried to make it work, and I put some large fuel tanks on it, some custom-made fuel tanks, so I could carry 50 gallons of gas, and I have pictures of that in my archives. And I did a couple of trips to Galveston, but it just wasn't suitable for making a long trip. And I'd given up on making a long trip, and I sold my ski, and I threw the fuel tanks away. Nobody would want to buy them, so like I said, I just kind of given it up. But then for some reason, I saw a Sea-Doo Fish Pro in 2019, and taking a look at that, I said, I think I could trick that out to make a trip. And so since 2019, I've been doing two things. One, tricking out my ski, and you can see those on YouTube, what I've done to it, the things that I've done to it, put racks on it and carry racks and fixturing racks and all kinds of things. And I tried to make this trip maybe a year ago or a couple of years ago even, but we had hurricanes and we had floods, and then of course COVID came, and that shut everything down, so I wasn't going to make a trip during those times. So here we are, fast forward in 2022, and I'm about to embark on the trip. I'll be going driving down to Corpus Christi tomorrow on Tuesday. I'm going to stay at a hotel there overnight near the marker 37 where I'll put in. I'm going to store my vehicle and the trailer at the marina. They have a fenced-in area where you can rent space for a month or so, and I'm going to do that. And then I'll go to Galveston the first day. Then I will go to Lake Charles the second day. The trip to Galveston is about 234 miles one way. The trip to Lake Charles is about 120 miles. I'll get an Uber to a hotel. I'm proposing to stay at a place called Nalmar Landing that has fuel not too far from the hotel. And then the next day I'll be transiting the Calcasieu Lock, which is supposed to be open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Apparently Monday through Thursday they're doing work on it. And then I'll be going to Houma, Louisiana from Lake Charles. Then from there I'll cut down the next day down the Batavia Waterway down to Venice, Louisiana. Stay overnight there, then probably want to go out to the site of the Deepwater Horizon blowout. There won't be anything there. I just want to go out there so I can check out the GPS coordinate and see what it's like out in the ocean there. It's about 50 miles offshore. Then I'll come back and I'll run the back side of the Chandelier Islands up to Mobile Bay, and then I'll find some place to stay. I think I'm staying in a place called Homeport Marina in Mobile. Then I'll go to I don't know, Pensacola, Destin, something like that, and then to Carabel, and then from Carabel maybe Crystal River or Tarpon Springs, then from there down to Marathon, which is in the Keys, and then to Key West. So that's kind of the itinerary. And I'll post some more videos later on, kind of to document what I've been doing, and to maybe pick up any other information that I left off that might be pertinent that I didn't put in this video.